All right. I think I'm done. I'll text Sarah in the morning so we can set up a meeting with the team. Mm, ah, I think it's time for bed. Baby, baby, I'm heading to bed. Can you work in the living room? Oh, whoa. Were you waiting for me? You have all the books out and everything. So this means I did a good job last night. I was worried, actually. I wasn't sure if my voice was soothing or it was just so boring that I put you to sleep. Well, I guess either way, it doesn't matter. You slept, and it seems like you slept well. Oh, I didn't want to wake you. You looked so peaceful, and you hadn't had good sleep in weeks. Yeah, but I thought you set an alarm. I didn't think you were going to oversleep. I mean, it wasn't all bad. Your coworker said you looked well rested. Okay, well, if we're going to do this, let's do it right. I'll be right back with your water. Here's your water, my darling. Okay, scoot over. I need to get into cuddling mode. Oh, shut up. You love my corniness. That's why we're together. Whatever. Would you like to do our book picking ritual? See? Corny, but you love it. Okay, lady. You know the drill. Put all the books on your lap. Close your eyes. Let me mix them up. Close them. No peeking. Yeah, you better not. Or what? No story time for you, little brat. Oh, I was just kidding. Put that lip back in. No pouty, girl. Okay, where was I? Ah, yes, okay. Now, take a deep breath in and out. Good. Let's do that again. Deep breath in and out. Perfect. Put your right hand over your heart. Your left hand in the air. Good. It's nice and high this time. You're learning. On the count of 3, drop your hand on your lap. Ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, open your eyes and let's see what you got. 1001 Nights. Arabian Nights? I love this. Dang, there's tons of mini stories in here. About 200. Okay, pick a number. 1 to 100. All right. So, the story we'll be reading is The Fisherman and the Genie. This should be fun, baby. Okay, get comfy in my arms. There you go. Ready? The Story of the Fisherman and the Genie. There was once an aged fisherman who was so poor that he could scarcely earn as much as would maintain himself, his wife, and 3 children. He went every day to fish betimes in the morning, and imposed it as a law upon himself not to cast his net above 4 times a day. He went one morning by moonlight, and coming to the seaside, undressed himself, and cast in his nets. As he drew them toward the shore, he found them very heavy, and thought he had a good draught of fish, at which he rejoiced. But a moment after, perceiving that instead of fish, his net contained nothing but the carcass of an ass, he was much vexed. When he had mended his nets, which the carcass of the ass had broken into several pieces, he threw them in a second time, and when he drew them, found a great deal of resistance, which made him think he had taken abundance of fish. But he found nothing except a basket full of gravel and slime, which grieved him extremely. "O fortune!" cried he, with a lamentable tone, "be not angry with me, nor persecute a wretch who prays thee to spare him. I came hither from my house to seek for my livelihood, and thou pronouncest against me a sentence of death. I have no other trade but this to subsist by, and notwithstanding all my care, I can scarcely provide what is necessary for my family. But I am to blame to complain of thee. Thou takest pleasure to persecute honest people, and advancest those who have no virtue to recommend them." Having finished his complaint, he fretfully threw away the basket, and washing his nets from the slime, cast them a third time, but brought up nothing except stones, shells, and mud. No language could express his disappointment. He was almost distracted. However, when day began to appear, he did not forget to say his prayers like a good Mussulman, and he added to them this petition: "Lord, thou knowest that I cast my nets only 4 times a day. I have already drawn them 3 times, without the least reward for my labor. I am only to cast them once more. I pray thee to render the sea favorable to me, as thou didst to Moses." The fisherman, having finished his prayer, cast his nets the 4th time, and when he thought it was proper, drew them as formerly with great difficulty, but instead of fish, found nothing in them but a vessel of yellow copper, which from its weight seemed not to be empty, and he observed that it was fastened and closed with lead, having the impression of a seal upon it. This turn of fortune rejoiced him. "I will sell it," he said, "to the founder, and with the money buy a measure of corn." He examined the vessel on all sides, and shook it to see if its contents made any noise, but heard nothing. This circumstance, with the impression of a seal upon the cover, made him think it enclosed something precious. To try this, he took a knife and opened it with very little labor. He turned the mouth downward, but nothing came out, which surprised him extremely. He placed it before him, but while he viewed it attentively, there burst forth a very thick smoke, which obliged him to retire 2 or 3 paces back. The smoke ascended to the clouds, and extending itself along the sea upon the shore, formed a great mist, which filled the fisherman with astonishment. When the smoke was all out of the vessel, it reunited and became a solid body, of which was formed a genie twice as high as the greatest of giants. At the sight of such a monster, the fisherman would have fled, but was so frightened he could not move. "Solomon," cried the genie immediately, "Solomon, the great prophet, pardon, pardon. I will never oppose your will. I will obey all your commands." The fisherman, when he heard these words of the genie, recovered his courage and said to him, "Thou proud spirit, what is it you say? It is above 1800 years since the prophet Solomon died, and we are now at the end of time. Tell me your history, how you came to be shut up in this vessel." The genie, turning to the fisherman with a fierce look, said, "Thou must address me with more courtesy. Thou art a presumptuous fellow to call me a proud spirit. Speak to me more respectfully, or I will kill thee." "Ah!" replied the fisherman, "why should you kill me? Did I not just now set you at liberty? And have you already forgotten my services?" "No, I remember it," said the genie, "but that shall not save thy life. I have only one favor to grant thee." "And what is that?" asked the fisherman. "It is," answered the genie, "to give thee thy choice in what manner thou wouldst have me put thee to death." "But wherein have I offended you?" demanded the fisherman. "Is that your reward for the service I have rendered you?" "I cannot treat thee otherwise," said the genie. "And that thou mayest know the reason, hearken to my story. I am one of those rebellious spirits that opposed the will of Solomon, the son of David, and to avenge himself that monarch sent Asaph, the son of Barachiah, his chief minister, to apprehend me. Asaph seized my person and brought me by force before his master's throne. Solomon commanded me to acknowledge his power and to submit to his commands. I bravely refused and told him I would rather expose myself to his resentment than swear fealty as he required. To punish me, he shut me up in this copper vessel, and that I might not break my prison, he himself stamped upon this leaden cover his seal with the great name of God engraven upon it. He then gave the vessel to one of the genies, who submitted with orders to throw me into the sea. During the first 100 years of my imprisonment, I swore that if anyone should deliver me before the expiration of that period, I would make them rich, even after his death. But that century ran out, and nobody did me the good office. During the second, I made an oath that I would open all the treasures of the earth to anyone that might set me at liberty, but with no better success. In the third, I promised to make my deliverer a potent monarch, and to grant him every day 3 requests, in what nature soever that might be. But the century passed as well as the 2 former, and I continued in prison. At last, being angry to find myself a prisoner so long, I swore that if afterward anyone should deliver me, I would kill them without mercy and grant him no favor but to choose the manner of his death. And, therefore, since thou hast delivered me today, I give thee that choice. This discourse afflicted the fisherman extremely. "I am very unfortunate," cried he, "to come hither to do such a kindness to one that is so ungrateful. I beg you to consider your injustice and revoke such an unreasonable oath. Pardon me, and heaven will pardon you, if you grant me my life. Heaven will protect you from all attempts against your own. No, thy death is resolved on, said the genie. Only choose in what manner thou wilt die. The fisherman, perceiving the genie to be resolute, was extremely grieved, not so much for himself, as on account of his 3 children, and bewailed the misery they must be reduced to by his death. He endeavored still to appease the genie, and said, Alas, be pleased to take pity on me, in consideration of the service I have done you. I have already told thee, replied the genie. It is for that very reason I must kill thee. That is strange, said the fisherman. Are you resolved to reward good with evil? The proverb truly says, He who does good to one who deserves it not is always ill-rewarded. Do not lose time, interrupted the genie. All thy chattering shall not divert me from my purpose. Make haste, and tell me what kind of death thou preferest. Necessity is the mother of invention. The fisherman thought himself of a strategy. Since I must die then, said he to the genie, I submit to the will of heaven. But before I choose the manner of my death, I conjure you, by the great name which was engraven upon the seal of the prophet Solomon, to answer me truly the question I am going to ask you. The genie, finding himself obliged to a positive answer by this adjuration, trembled and replied to the fisherman, Ask what thou wilt, but make haste. The genie, having thus promised to speak the truth, the fisherman said to him, I wish to know if you were actually in this vessel. Dare you swear it by the name of the great God? Yes, replied the genie, I do swear by his great name that I was. In good faith? Answered the fisherman. I cannot believe you. The vessel is not capable of holding one of your size, and how should it be possible that your whole body could lie in it? I swear to thee, notwithstanding, replied the genie, that I was there just as you see me here. Is it possible that thou dost not believe me after the solemn oath I have taken? Truly not I, said the fisherman, nor will I believe you unless you go into the vessel again. Upon this, the body of the genie dissolved and changed itself into smoke, extending as before upon the seashore, and at last, being collected, it began to re-enter the vessel, which it continued to do by a slow and equal motion, till no part remained out, when immediately a voice came forth, which said to the fisherman, Well, incredulous fellow, dost thou not believe me now? The fisherman, instead of answering the genie, took the cover of the lead, and having speedily replaced it on the vessel, Genie, cried he, now it is your turn to beg me favor, and to choose which way I shall put you to death. But it is better.